The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want the weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
There comes a point where denial of evidence becomes a handicap, whether that stems from self-preservation or cognitive dissonance. For example, I can see why psychologists would deny the mass use of RF weapons on the population just because it would render their job useless. However, there is only so much evidence I can shove in their faces before their denial becomes outright laughable and childish. For years, I have asked one shrink to show me a chemical imbalance. I have never seen one. In fact, the only chemical imbalances I have witnessed were people on drugs, both street drugs and pharmaceuticals. In reality, a chemical imbalance is just somebody's theory, that it was voted in. And I'm not joking about that. They literally vote these things into the DSM. So I have looked for any tests or physical evidence of bipolar disorder, but have never seen any. The same goes for depression, schizophrenia. There are no tests. There are no markers. There is nothing. There is zero evidence that you can see, feel, hear, or hold in your hand. However, when I put this evidence in their faces that's real, that you can hear with your own senses, they have to deny it. I just did a video on Mark Taylor, and Dr. Phil and his army of shrinks out there would stomp their feet and have a temper tantrum about what I said about him. But I'm not leaving it at just words. In this short video, I'm going to prove again that someone diagnosed with severe mental illness is having physical voices and noises put into their surroundings. You can deny one anomaly in a body of evidence, but when it happens over and over and over, refusing to face it shows that the denier has some sort of issue with facing the evidence. Money buys degrees, not intellect. But I'm not asking these people to believe in ghosts or goblins. I'm merely proving that the people who are allegedly sick have physical and very real voices in their surroundings. And with that being the case, you cannot call them mentally ill. In fact, the only conclusion that you can come to is they have been driven mentally ill. There is only so long that they can deny this evidence. In my last video, I showed an interview with Mark Taylor. He was a kid who was shot up 7 times or more in that event in Colorado from 1999. He went on to release a book and rallied against the pharmaceutical companies. They basically kidnapped him against his will after he had some weird symptoms going on. His mother thought he was having a stroke or something. They took him to the hospital and he was locked up against his will and pumped full of drugs. They made up a bunch of stories about him and they cooked his brain. Watch my last video if you haven't seen it. Let's go to an interview with him that shows him completely lucid.
And bring back vivid memories for Mark Taylor when he was shot at least 7 times.
They see it on TV, but it's not the same as actually being there in the action, having bullets fly past your head, having 1 second you're in normal prison, next minute your life's over with.
So you heard he was lucid, he was there, he rallied against the wrong people, they basically zip stripped him and then hit him with RF weapons. And I believe they hit him with RF weapons before that to get him into the hospital in the first place. Let's watch what they did to this guy to reiterate from the last video. Here we go.
And I'm here today with Mark and Donna Taylor. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
And Mark, one of the things we wanted to talk about today was what happened in Colorado Springs a couple of years ago. You were...
Pay attention and see how he is distracted. He's constantly being distracted. And a shrink, or somebody like Dr. Phil, or one of these theorists out there, would tell you that they're just very drugged up and they're very mentally ill. That's why this is happening.
Facility, is that correct?
Facility?
In Colorado Springs, did you stay at a halfway house or someplace?
The Lighthouse?
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
So you get the point? The guy can't even talk anymore. He can't even form coherent sentences. He can't answer basic questions. He has been zip-stripped. Now again, one weird anomaly, and you could deny it. But when this happens over and over, case after case, it is time for people to start paying attention and not stomping their feet. They need to start wondering what is going on. Maybe I should start paying attention to these people that are talking about this. But there's only so long that these people can deny this for. This is the audio of the interview from the last video and part of what you just saw. Let's move ahead, and I'm going to show you the reason why this guy is distracted and looking around is not only the fact that he's pumped up full of Haldol or whatever else, but he is also hearing things in the room distracting him. So this guy is going to ask him a question right now.
What happened in Colorado Springs a couple of years ago? You were in Colorado Springs at some kind of a facility, is that correct?
He was asking him about being locked up against his will in a mental ward. Now, he says, is that correct? A voice is going to come in right here and whisper very loudly, Mark. Here we go.
Facility, is that correct?
And there's even voices behind it, but it is one voice that says Mark. It says Mark. After that, these chattery voices keep chattering on. And I've told people in the past, but I'm going to say it again in this video. These voices are pulse-based. They are pulsed voices. Each syllable is a pulse. So, it is not only strangely inflected, but it doesn't always sound quite human. Sometimes it sounds a little weird, like a robotic voice or a synthesized voice, or almost a clearer version of sine wave speech. Right before he answers, a voice comes in here after Mark, and it says here, you have to stop this. You have to stop this. I'm going to loop it for a second. You have to stop this. Mark actually answers just facility.
Facility?
It is totally and completely confusing him to try to have a conversation with this guy while other voices are speaking to him at the same time and trying to get his attention. That's why he's looking around and doing the things that he does. The proof is here. There is more proof in this video of voices physically being in the room with him than there is proof of a chemical imbalance. For the love of God. Now here's another version where I brought up the Mark to make it a little bit clearer. So here we go. He asks the question and then it says Mark. It's like a whisper. And here's another version. Mark. It is saying Mark. It is trying to get his attention. These are RF weapons. He was a whistleblower. He began speaking out about pharmaceuticals. So they took him down. They pumped him full of everything that he was against his will, and basically zip stripped him. After he wrote that book, it was on, because they knew it would sell. And you can hear these voices chattering here. Every time this guy asks a question, these voices start chattering and picking up, trying to distract him.
What's the main point of the book?
And it sounds like right there, almost sounds like a CB that says that guy is your enemy. Quickly. German. There are physical voices in the room with the quote-unquote schizophrenic. Now one would be an anomaly, and you could go, well, that's kind of weird, but it's just a voice that comes in and out. This is constant chatter that does not stop. As soon as the guy asks the question, it picks up, and it totally just scrambles the dude. Now here's where the interviewer asks him about New Mexico.
Denver, and you live in New Mexico now, right?
Well, yeah.
What was that? There are physical voices in the room with him. Now that was Mark, but the rest of it is not. These are not ghosts, these are not ghouls, these are not goblins or demons or whatever people come up with. These are pulsed communications that are driving this guy mad, have driven this guy mad. Now here is one more example of this before I get to the other piece of main evidence. One was Mark, the next one was you have to stop this, and I'm just showing the different voices in between each question. Here we go.
So who you been staying with when you've been up here?
Do you see how they're pulsed? This is all I need to show you, because these anomalies have happened too many times. And I guarantee you, I will pull more and more out of this. So, I might do a part 2 to this, or I might try to find another interview with him and attempt to pull this out. So he's going to ask a question here, and this is key, and this is typical of what people hear when this kind of shit goes down. I'm going to play you 4 versions of this. He's going to ask him a question. You're going to hear all this chatter going on afterwards.
Anniversary, who you been staying with?
Chatter, chatter, chatter. This is the key spot. I'm going to play you 4 versions. It says here, that guy's going to hurt you. So the voice is literally trying to make this guy scared of the guy that is interviewing him. It says, that guy's going to hurt you. That guy's going to hurt you. I told you this is pulse communication, so it is always a little bit weird sounding. I will loop it 1 time, and then I'm going to play you 3 other versions of this. That guy's going to hurt you. That guy's going to hurt you. I'm going to play you another version of that. That guy's going to hurt you. Play you going to hurt you. That guy's going to hurt you. I'll play you another version of that. That guy's going to hurt you. And another version. That guy's going to hurt you. Do you think that just showed up in the air? All of this just showed up in the air magically? How would these shrinks attempt to explain this away? So, whenever things happen to a group of people, they call it group delusions. All this different bullshit. How would they explain this stuff physically in the air? And I've asked this before, but are these schizophrenics just projecting their schizophrenia into the air? And these cameras are picking it up? Come on, man. That guy's gonna hurt you. And then it keeps going.
tried to remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was them. So you got all this, all of it. And let's not forget that the first one was personalized and said his name. Mark. Like a whisper. So there is no backpedaling out of this. The very first voice in the interview said his name and then started rambling off on all this different stuff to get him scared or to keep him sidetracked. These are RF weapons. They have been hitting people with these for decades. And at this point, there's either a motive behind their denial or they are mentally vapid. It's all the proof you need. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie.
I don't like the world now. I mean, before I always knew I was a son of a bitch. But now I'm the only son of a bitch I know. Hey, make way for a real human being. Get out of the way, yeah.
Look out for Charlie. I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.